it was leaving no one behind. And I love that. I believed in it, and I feel like right now I'm living by that motto. When you work in something, you don't leave no one behind. You, whatever you do, either a startup or a social project, you always think, for example, if we're gonna think about a startup, we're gonna think about the waste. So this itself is leaving no one behind. It's not us just throwing trash and throwing plastic in the oceans. So it's really, we can say, us being a good human being in that sense.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumitech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Let's talk about impact. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders and meet Maroua Ameziane, Sustainable Development Project Manager, Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. She is in charge of sustainability community engagement as well. She has been mentoring young leaders and startups for more than 400 for more than 5 years now. She's currently the Executive Director and Youth Mobilizer at Youth SDG Action campaign in Morocco with the Sustainable Development Youth Organization, and was president and co-founder of World Merit Rabat, an international organization that works on the SDGs and youth empowerment, where she always conducted projects for youth empowerment and provided impactful opportunities for her members. Maroua Ameziane, thank you so much for joining me all the way from Morocco, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Your work is inspiring, to say the least, because you're working on literally making the world a better place. You're highly involved in sustainable development goals with the UN. You've in fact won awards, working on SDGs. And today you're executive director and youth mobilizer at Youth SDG Action campaign in Morocco. You're also the sustainable development project manager at the Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. So really, and all around, a lot of work with sustainable development goals, a lot of work with startups, with entrepreneurs. Maroua, how do you define sort of what you do? Because it's not a traditional career what you're doing.
Well, I'm gonna speak from my side and my personal experience. The first time there was let's say an activist who talked to me about the sustainable development goals, and I knew what is sustainable development, but not really the goals in the Agenda 2030. And so my first question was like, what are those? What are you talking about? I don't know about these goals. But I think as any other activist or any other curious millennial or Gen Z, I believe like all the future generation are very curious, and they have the informations right beside them by like tapping on Google, on YouTube, and so on. So I did the same. I went and looked for it, and I just really I felt like the Agenda 2030 or the sustainability itself made it was more clear. It was concise. It had we can say a target. It had an audience. We could actually just look one goal and be able to pinpoint what we can do exactly. So that starts actually from me being an activist, me just want to work on myself, me being we can say I wanted to make from myself a better version for myself. So I had depression. I was like suffering from it, but at some point I was like, I need to get my life going. So when I did that to myself, and it felt like really I can do much to others in that sense. So I start being a volunteer in many organizations. I start being a consultant. And then I found out that I'm really good at mentoring people and guiding people. So my journey started there because since a young age, I was really someone who loved working and helping, like working with people and helping people in that sense. So it just made sense at some point when I really let's say, as I searched and I read a lot about sustainability, it felt like I can help people and I can help animals. I can be good to the environment, to Earth as itself. So it felt like it really aligns with my personality, and that which what it really started. I feel like sustainable is not something like a trend, more like, oh my God, the UN, the Agenda 2030. No, it's a lifestyle. It should be implemented in our laws. It's no more a joke, or it's no more a trend that we just be like having this pancart, like the color for canvas and everything. It has to become something like in on va dire, how I'm gonna say this, like it has to be something that we live on a daily basis. That's how I see it. So it started like that, me loving, helping like people and want to be there for people, either related to be, for example, helping animals, or thinking about animal welfare, or helping people who are depressed, that went through my journey, we can say. I just, whatever I was learning in order to help people. So it's made it really easier for me.
Take me back to that moment where you got exposed for the first time about SDGs and about, what, try to, help me understand really, what you were going through as you were discovering this whole world that previously wasn't really part of your life.
It was actually part of my life, but I didn't give it a name. I was doing my master's
Mm.
at that time, and I was like very active with many NGOs or school clubs. I was always on the go. Like you can either
Yeah.
find me in my classes working part-time jobs, or being part of a training, or trying to organize a training for some people. So and there was like, I was in a camp, and there was this lady. She was really like very active. I'm really thankful to her, and she was like, I work with this NGO, they are working on the sustainable development goals. And I was like, I know what is sustainable development, what are those goals. So I went and searched on Google. I found out that the UN actually has just gathered all the country leads, the presidents, so they can agree on launching the Agenda 2030 on the 2015. But I met that lady in 2016, so it was like more like a 5 months, I guess, or 6 months after the launching, or we can say after the UN reform. So yeah, I started searching on Google. I started like talking to people. In the first phase, actually, the NGO that won the UN SDG Action campaign, we were that team. Like all of us from different backgrounds. You can find me here, like with a scientific background, someone with a law background, someone, for example, with the sustainable development background, and they came together, and we were like, okay, since, for example, I didn't know what are those goals. Let's make sure that everyone knows what are those goals and how can we help them. If we have, for example, an NGO that works on, we can say, for example, environmental action, we can tell them that they are actually working on the SDG 13. If they are working on education or educating rural girls in some part, for example, in Morocco, then they are working on gender equality, and they are working on the SDG number 4, quality education. So SDG number 4, SDG number 5. So we made sure that we go around the Kingdom of Morocco in order to appoint ambassadors of this campaign and let people know what are those SDGs and what is the vision of the Agenda 2030. What I really loved about the agenda itself, it was more of a personal vision, not me being like part of the UN mission or a vision. It was more like the motto that was behind it. It was leaving no one behind, and I love that. I believed in it, and I feel like right now I'm living by that motto. When you work in something, you don't leave no one behind. You, whatever you do, either a startup or a social project, you always think, for example, if we're gonna think about a startup, we're gonna think about the waste. So this itself is leaving no one behind. It's not us just throwing trash and throwing plastic in the oceans. So it's really, we can say, us being a good human being in that sense. So yeah, I started doing that. We can talk later on where we try to implement like effective and concrete actions, because we cannot just keep talking and saying what are those SDGs, since the information is pretty everywhere. You can find it on Google, on podcasts. So we're like, okay, so we have to start making it or implementing concrete actions. And what's better than entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship? So I worked with a lot of NGOs in that sense. I started mentoring like students or my colleagues in order for their startup to be sustainable. So, for example, if they're working on any kind of subject, let it be energy or textile or whatever that is, I need to make sure that the sustainable development touch has to be there. So it's more like you can see that it comes from the heart. It's not something that we have to make our speech beautiful, or oh my god, we care about the environment in the word. No, it has to come from the heart. And they say also, when you work on something and it is your passion, you feel like you're not working, like you don't feel like working, you feel like you're living your life. So it's pretty much my life. I live my passion every day throughout, like with the Mohammed VI Polytechnic University or the Youth SDG Action campaign. So most of the time I don't feel tired until my health gives out, because I'm living my passion. And I try to do the same with everyone. Like I'm trying to help them find their passion in order for them to give it their all, so they can actually either develop their personality, or they can either, for example, find out what is their mission on earth. And when I speak about this, I'm going to speak about the other half, is that I really love working on youth empowerment. I love, since I was president of a lot of NGOs, when I worked with youth, and I was also someone who was lost at some point in my life, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I was doing mid school, and then I stopped it, and then I did science. It was all over I was all over the place. But at some point I was lost, and I needed someone to help me, to mentor me. So I didn't find it. It was pretty hard. The mentorship or the mentor-mentee relationship or status here in Morocco is not really that something that is really, like, we can say it's pretty known. Like, they don't know that you should have mentors. Like, either they can even not be Moroccans, they can be international. I have a mentor from MIT, and I have a mentor who is way younger than me, and I have a mentor who is way older than me. So either each one of them are going to teach me in their sense or their vision, so I can like gather all the informations and make it my, or have my own conclusion or have my own vision, me based in my experience or their experience, so I can have a better version or a better vision in life. I don't know how I'm gonna explain it, but that's what I try to do. I try to mentor them. I try to be their mentor, either, for example, for their mental health, or just me saying, okay, you have the potential, please go work on this. For example, there was this student who was really into engineering, but at some point I felt like he's really like just losing his time or wasting his time, I can say. And I was like, but he was really good in mental health subject. He was so into those. He was so into, whenever we talk about a mental health issue or a disease, he would be the one knowing all about it. So I was like, why don't you try studying like psychology? That made really interest you. And he did that. And he's now like the happiest. He can help people better. He's like our, we can say he's like our psychologist now. So he's always helping us. He's always making it better. He knows what he's saying, and it's his passion. So I really love doing that. I feel like whenever I was lost at that time, and me helping people who were lost, and now they, with one sentence or one, we can say coffee, we just meet in a coffee shop and we can talk like very like in a friendly, we can say in a friendly setting. It doesn't have to be very professional. Just could be a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and we can just sit down and talk, and me listening to you and me guiding you throughout like what I can see that it would be better for you. But of course the decision is gonna stay yours. It has to be yours because it's your life, it's not mine. So yeah, and it all goes around to sustainable development, because whenever we talk about sustainable development, we talk about human beings, because the Agenda 2030 is for who? It's for us. It's for us to be good to each other. It's for us to be good to nature. It's for us to provide, for us to be able to like use goods, but not compromising the needs or the goods for the future generation. So it always comes back to us being good to each other in that sense.
Beautiful, beautiful. Paint me a picture of Morocco today and how Morocco is dealing with the SDGs, and sort of, is this something that is becoming mainstream? What is your experience with sort of penetrating into the ecosystem and bringing sort of this new idea that shouldn't be new, but it is new after all?
Morocco now, actually, I think everyone knows the SDGs, and I feel like I always feel proud when I say this because at that time nobody knew, and I was someone who didn't know. Like I feel like there was just, if we can say, 10 people or 20 people at 2016 who knew, who for example, the people who are following the UN report and such as. But even like the most active youth at that time, they didn't know about it. So now everyone knows. We helped actually associations or NGOs in order for them to know which SDGs they are working for or which SDGs they are specialized in. Like we could talk with organizations, sit down with them, get to know what is their vision, and then we tell them, look, you're working on this SDGs. These targets at the UN, for example, website can help you perform better or have better KPIs in that sense. So Morocco now, we can call it Green Morocco because it is actually the vision of the Majesty the King. The Majesty, His Majesty was always talking about a green Morocco. So it was, we can say, a mindset since forever, since I was a young child. So I grew up with that. I grew up with hearing speeches about green Morocco, a greener Morocco, a better Morocco. So when it comes to SDGs, as you can see, there is Morocco is actually one of the top performing countries in Africa, and when it comes to climate change worldwide. So the last climate change index, we are actually at the fifth position worldwide when it comes to us, like being a country that is mostly actively working against like the emissions and fighting against climate change. And it's actually, it comes around the fact that we are working so hard on making clean energy. And this, I'm gonna bring back also my work with the Mohammed VI Polytechnic University because they have a green energy park, like a park just for green energy, just for clean energy when it comes to terms of research and so on. So I feel like Morocco is getting like, we can say, innovative, creative. I can see definitely that us as youth leaders, we are a generation that is very confident in what we have because the existence of us, for example, we can say a lot of, how I'm gonna say this. So you study, you are a student, and you have a lot of clubs, and you get to be exposed to the right people in that sense. So you get inspired. So you get active in that sense. So once you get inspired, you be like, "Oh my God, she did it. Why can't I?" So they become active. For example, in students' clubs or associations, and then they become even better active leaders, and they can even get jobs while studying. So this is the generation that I'm seeing right now in Morocco, and I have like a lot of hope when it comes to this because I feel like if we have a society that is polyvalent, like I'm gonna multidisciplinary, so we have low, for example, students who know everything about climate justice, for example, or we have scientists who know how to manage projects. So if we have a generation that is, they can just get a glimpse of what is management while being very technical in engineering and so on, we are creating really like a strong generation in that sense. And I feel like the government, it's not really like the role of government in that sense. I feel like it's our role, it's us as youth, or us as we can do that. Since I was able to develop my personality in a sense, I can do the same with others, you see.
Definitely, and I have to say, Maroua, that I've had quite a few, people on this show, and I've yet to meet somebody who has such deep conviction as to what they do. That's, I think, just the right way to put it. Like the way that the conviction that you have in what you do and why you do it and the impact that you're going to have on the world and that you need to have on the world, I think that's inspiring. Where do you draw for yourself the inspiration on a day-to-day basis to feel what you're feeling here?
I actually have it from the stories that I have. Like when I start being active, I can remember a student I was giving, like I was tutoring. I was a tutor, so I can have like some money, so I can be active in associations because I was very independent. And I remember one time a mom wanted to get her daughter out of school, She was like, the school is not for you. Since you're a girl, and we still have that mindset. Malheureusement, sadly, we still have that mindset. And I was like, that's not gonna happen, because she came to me, she talked to my sister, and she came to me. And I was like, no, that's not gonna, not on my watch, as they say. So I went to the mom and I told her, just give me 1 month with her. And if she didn't succeed in her exams, then you can do whatever you want. So I took my time in that month. I taught her everything that I can, like on a daily basis. She was coming to my house every day so I can tutor her. You cannot imagine the mark that she had, just because I believed in her, just because I was able to convince her mom. And I forgot about that. So I did that. She actually succeeded in her year. She was able to join high school because she was in middle school and she had to go to high school. And 3 years later, I was with mom, going out like shopping, and there was this girl out of nowhere. She came to me and hugged me, and I was like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on." And she was like, "I don't know if you remember me, but I will remember you my whole life. You are the one. Everything what I'm doing is because of you, is thanks to you. You're the one who made me. I just got my baccalaureate diploma. I just graduated from high school, and I'm gonna go do English studies because you're the one who made me love English. And I was able to do all of that just because you believed in me." So whenever I feel down, because we're human, I always remember stories like that. Like, I was able to do. It's not. There are a lot of stories, and sometimes I feel proud that I was able to do so, because at that time I wasn't sure. I was like, am I doing this okay? Am I going to like cause her problems with her family? But I'm like, no, she has to be educated. Education is everything. And it like, as girls, sometimes the diploma really protects the girl. Once you have a diploma, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to be like, sometimes when we deal with, for example, abused women, they cannot leave the abused household just because they don't have a diploma to work with, or they can't afford from
Right.
themselves. So a diploma itself is a protection for that girl. So that was my
Right.
conviction at that time. So I feel like whenever I feel down and whenever I feel like tired, I always remember these stories, that I was able to do so I can keep going like that. I can save a lot of people. I can change uh, people to just with one word, one sentence, just telling them I relate, I was there, I was also depressed, I have anxiety, I have public speaking phobia, but I keep speaking to people. It doesn't have to stop you. No, you can do it. Like, you just have to try, and let's discover what's blocking you. So it has to be that way. Of course, I'm not a professional therapist, but sometimes I refer them to therapists in that sense. But at least when someone relates, when someone believe in you, I feel like that's the key. That's really the key. So yeah, I think that's it. That's what I get my daily inspirational mantra.
Maroua, I really want to thank you for a wonderful conversation that leaves me energized and inspired by your generosity and your kindness and your outlook on
Thank you.
life and our role in it, and your role as a catalyst for the SDGs and for the goals that were set out by the United Nations. So thank you very, very much. Best of
My
luck with your
pleasure.
mission.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing the incredible things that you're doing, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, for your time. It was a good talk.
Of course. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye bye.